Welcome to Medicine Buddha and whatever else is going to come out of my mouth tonight. If you're new, please introduce yourself in the chat box. I would love to see who's new. And if you're new, I wish you good luck. All right. So just letting everyone come into the room. Please go ahead and if you have a prayer request, go ahead and put that on the Google Doc. We have that. All right. So again, welcome everyone. I'm Lama Rod. Yeah, happy Juneteenth. First of all, happy Pride. Happy almost solstice. And I am challenging myself to do a practice to incorporate all of these important observations tonight. I don't know what that practice is, but my personal practice is just to start practicing and see what happens. That's a really good place to get in your practice. I don't believe practices should be so contrived and organized. I think one of the most important lessons taught to me by one of my teachers, actually, that teacher was Lama Willa Baker, was that you know more than you think you know. So I like that idea, Plus, I don't really feel like doing any pre-work to write a Dharma talk or anything. I have a lot of friends who do that. I'm not going to say what tradition that is, but it's insight. And, they'll spend like a week writing one Dharma talk, and they'll be like, Rod, how long does it take you to write your Dharma talk? It doesn't take me any time to write a Dharma talk. I just sit down and open my mouth because that's easier to do. And I have other things to do besides write a Dharma talk. So much trouble to get into these days. So again, welcome to those who are just coming into the space. Welcome. Please go ahead and add a prayer to the prayer list. We're going to get started pretty soon. I want to do a lengthy practice tonight as well. But yeah, I've been thinking about a lot of things today and, over the past few days as well. I think one of the things, obviously, I'm thinking about today is liberation, freedom, what that means for us, and particularly thinking about all the people who made it possible for us to have what we have, even right now when it feels like things are being taken back, things are like these rights and everything, they're being challenged. And, even now, this is so important for us to remember our ancestors. And when I say ancestors, I'm not necessarily talking about our familial ancestors. It does include our familial ancestors, but also just, some of you have finished the 7 Homecomings course, so you can tell me what an ancestor is. But an ancestor, like who we come from, the people we come from, those are our ancestors. Who made it possible for us to be here, right? Who gave birth to us? Not like physical birth, but who created the identities, the communities, the pathways for us to embody who we are, who laid those foundations, right? And what did they have to do that? You know, many, they had very little, you know. And then during times like this is for me why ancestor practice is so important, because I have to remember that I come from people who fought, right, and who struggled, right, who dreamed about a liberated future, who dreamed about a better future for their descendants, right? That I'm just not randomly here, you know, that like there are many people who died, right, and in their work to make my life possible, right? And so there's a debt, right, that's old, right? And part of that debt is the work of remembering our ancestors, and telling our stories, right? Um, like giving voice to the things that felt really silenced and invisible for them, right? To remember them, to give them voice, to take on parts of their lives, to care about the things that they cared about, right? And then another part of our debt is working to make sure our descendants, you know, have what they need to enter into this world as well. In the same way, our ancestors did things to make sure that we have the resources that we needed, right? We are both descendants and ancestors in training, you know, at the same time. And we have to take that seriously, you know, because it's about, you know, interrelatedness or interdependentness, where we're connected, but we also belong to one another. You know, we're a part of one another, you know, and this is what months and days like this remind us of the great struggle to achieve liberation, right? And that struggle is not over, you know. And so the question for some of us is, what is our work to do now? Like nothing's impossible, right? It may be hard, but it's not impossible, right? And we're entering into the solstice, the summer solstice. So this is a huge upgrade, you know, energetically. This is cosmic upgrade. And there's going to be an even more intense divide between those of us who are doing the work, right? And the work means developing clarity and wisdom, practicing compassion, love, kindness, helping people be free, helping people get the resources that they need to be well. If you're doing that, you're on the side of evolution. Like you're, you know, some people, you know, kind of astrologers, and a lot of spiritual folks say, you know, the awakened folks, you know, you're the awakened. If you're committed to doing that, if you're really committing to helping people to experience freedom and have access to the resources that they need to be well, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And I don't want to say you don't have to worry, you know, but I think maybe specifically you don't have to worry about if you're doing what needs to be done or not, because you are, right? If you're not trying to help, if you're actually getting in the way of people's freedoms, then you know, it seems as if you are on the wrong side of this situation, right? And to be on the wrong side of something doesn't mean that that's where you're always going to stay. Nothing is forever, right? There's always an opportunity for us to evolve, to awaken, you know, and it may not be in this life, and that's okay, right? But to remember the spirit of pride and Juneteenth, right? And to remember what these observations are really about. It's about freedom. It's about making sure people have access to the resources that they need to be well. It's about people being safe, right? It's about people having agency and self-determination, right? This is what this period is about. And summer is about the complete opening and fruition of agency, of work, movement, fluidity. We are entering into our most fluid, active activity of the year, right? Like this is when we start preparing really for the winter. Actually, summer. Yeah, summer is to frolic and have fun, but we're actually, we're doing the work, right, to make sure that we have resources as we move into the fall to prepare for the winter, you know. And that can mean many things, like this is, the summer of your life or whatever, but this is a period where we may not know why we're doing the work we're doing right now, but it's work that the fruition of this work will be known to us in the future, And that's a principle, a teaching that I really ground my practice in, like in the moment, like what am I doing right now? Like, and I'm not thinking about tomorrow, I'm not thinking about next week, I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about planting the seeds, watering the seeds, and cultivating the seeds right now in this moment. What am I planting for the harvest? Right? And what kind of harvest am I planting? It reminds me of the story of the ants and the grasshoppers. This children's story. I grew up in the 80s. Like I was a child in the 80s, and the stories were just really harsh in the 80s. It's like there was no filter. They were like, life sucks and you need to like get this. I don't know. We got stories. The little match girl, that anyone here, oh my God, like children do not need to be hearing a story about a little girl who freezes to death in a gutter. Like that's what we were reading in elementary school. And no wonder I'm as intense as I am. But going back to the point, the story of the grasshoppers and the ants. So the story is that like it's summertime and the ants are like diligently working, really like they're just like doing the work, planting, gathering, harvesting, like they're getting ready. Meanwhile, the grasshoppers are like chilling, they're just like hanging out, playing the fiddle, partying, right? But the ants are just busy, busy, busy. Then the fall comes around and the grasshoppers are like, whatever. And then the winter hits and the ants are just like cozy in their colony, in their houses or whatever it was in the story. And then you see the grasshoppers are like freezing outside, in the cold. And the ants are looking out of their windows because they have windows in the story. So looking out of the windows at the grasshoppers, and the ants are like, "Oh, that's so sad. We're gonna have compassion." So they invite the grasshoppers into their home because they have all the food they've been gathering, and invite the grasshoppers to spend the winter with them. And that's like, an important story. There's a lesson there. And the lesson is like, yeah, it's great to have fun, but what's your work also? Not that having fun can't be part of your work, because it absolutely can, but what are you doing right now? Because the winter is coming. Like, whatever winter means to you, winter may mean death, winter may mean getting older, winter may mean whatever. Like winter may be actually this winter may be next year. The winter may just be the future in general. And it's easy to be overwhelmed by the future, the winter that's coming, But instead of being overwhelmed, I would actually suggest to shift your attention to this moment and to ask yourself, what are you just doing now to prepare for whatever comes, right? To get to this place that whatever happens, happens, whatever comes, comes, to practice in such a way that when whatever happens, you don't need anything at all. That when the future arrives, whatever the future may be, you have cultivated a practice that will meet, right, whatever future happens. And that's what I do. I have no idea what's going to happen in the future, but I know that I have a practice that will meet it, And that's the kind of confidence we're trying to build in the moment, that my practice will meet and consume whatever arises in this moment or whatever arises in the next moment. So the energy that we lose in this process of anxiety is actually reinvested in the practice and the work of practicing. Right? What needs to happen now? What seeds need to be planted now? So yeah, like this is for me, going back to ancestor work, right? It's so important for me to remember ancestors because I want to remember the courage that they had, right, to prepare for a future by acting in the moment. To focus on right now and how focusing on right now creates the conditions for me to meet the next moment. And, again, just to reiterate, it's okay to have fun as well, but a practice solely built in pleasure isn't going to completely get us free either. Let the pleasure balance the work, the practice. But know that there has to be struggle in the practice. If you're not struggling, you're not practicing, actually. If you're not meeting resistance, you're not practicing. The practice should always be going towards the resistance. There should be a kind of practice where we should have a kind of practice where we're actually consciously choosing the discomfort, because the discomfort is always going to be there. You might as well acknowledge it and welcome it, right? Suffering becomes more intense, right? When you're pushing everything away. That's what suffering is, pushing things away. Aversion is the tension that arises, like when we're always trying to manipulate everything around us. Letting that manipulation go actually begins to cut through suffering, and you get to the basic sensation of pain, right? And once we start our relationship with pain, then pain begins to transform. It changes for us. Yeah, so work and freedom, and we have to kind of dig in now. This is a time to dig in. Like this is political, social, and spiritual warfare. Because there are many beings who don't want us to evolve. There are many beings who don't want people to be free. right? I mean, in this world, right, there's so many beings who are so, they're so terrified of their own suffering, right? That they distance themselves from their suffering and then they weaponize that suffering against the rest of us, the people who want to be free, like who want to live in community and who want to be like, who wants everyone to be happy, right? We want everyone to be happy, right? But there are people who don't want that, you know? And sometimes we know these people, like we're friends with these people. Sometimes these people are our families, you know. And at some point you have to be like, you know what? Like, I love you, right? But I have to go. I have to split. It's not our work to stay in suffering because everyone else is suffering, right? You know, um, I think that's one of the most confusing parts of this Bodhisattva tradition, which I have completely rewritten in the New Saints. Like the problem is, um, we think the Bodhisattvas are just suffering along with everyone else. It's not really the case. you know, you meet people, the Bodhisattva meets people in their suffering, but they're not necessarily suffering along with people, right? That's not what the Bodhisattva does. The Bodhisattva sees, the Bodhisattva holds space, but the Bodhisattva abides in joy, right? Because the Bodhisattva has no choice but to abide in joy, because when you start awakening, you actually start awakening in joy. That joy comes from this fact that, like, awakening means realizing the clarity, the essence of everything. The more you begin to understand the nature of things, the more you're freed from the suffering of things, right? So one of the greatest gifts the Bodhisattva offers other beings is joy, and joy is space, right? It's fluidity, it's movement, right? It's options, it's potential. It's the opposite of contraction, it is expansion. This is what we offer, the Bodhisattva offers those who suffer space and expansion. And you can't offer space and expansion if you're just like miserable. You're miserable trying to help other people who are miserable. That just equals a whole bunch of people who are miserable, right? Miserable, that energy is low vibrational energy. So it's like you're going to get stuck in the material. You're going to get stuck in the realness of everything. And the realness, there's no potential in realness. Like, that's kind of fixed. It's like sinking into like quicksand or sinking into cement. You're just going to get stuck there. But we're trying to lift. We lift in joy, we lift in love, we lift in compassion, we lift in care. It's okay to experience joy right now, even if it feels like so many people can experience joy, right? I mean, I'm not guilty about that anymore. I'm not guilty because I worked my ass off to get here. That's one reason. Like, I didn't really, this wasn't my practice wasn't a gift that someone gave me, because I was, worthy, or I was pretty, or I had enough money. Like, I had to like work, and I still work. Like, I'm not guilty about that, you know. But instead of being guilty, guilt gets in the way of what we can share with people. I'm not trying to keep my joy to myself because I'm guilty. I actually have to like open up and let this joy like, I don't know, like flood the world, flood people, you know. So, you know, let's well, let's do some practice. So that's why we're here. And I'll be sipping on a mocha, a nice mocha actually. I decided to set up Starbucks in my house because I was like, it's way less expensive. So anyhow, you know, I want us to become the sun. You know, I want us to become a radiance of intense illumination in honor of our ancestors and honor of all the beings who made it possible for us to be in this space tonight, right? I want us to honor those who come before us by letting our light shine, you know, letting our joy come forth, letting ourselves rest within space, right? I honor my ancestors by engaging in the things that they were restricted from, you know, doing the things that they couldn't do, living the life that they couldn't live, because that's what they worked for, is for me to have access to resources that they didn't have. And so when I don't take those resources, then that's a dishonor to my ancestors, right? So I take, right, what is mine to experience. So let's begin, you know, again, always allowing yourself to come into a position that feels appropriate for practice. And I invite you to begin with this intention. And the intention is to practice, to begin practice, to experience liberation. And as we experience liberation, we are also at the same time freeing other beings from suffering. Frankly, that should be your only intention when practicing. Like, you know, forget this whole being happy and comfortable and whatever it is you're wishing for. Just practice to get free, because that is the most important offering we give back to others around us. And I invite you to allow your body to open and relax into that aspiration. Like, let yourself be possessed by the aspiration to get free. And this could also be a really powerful space for you to even contemplate what freedom means. What would it feel like? And of course, like this is the same aspiration of Medicine Buddha, the same aspiration of all the Buddhas. That's how these beings, you know, became Buddhas. It's this, simple but really profound aspiration that not just practicing to get free, but to align your whole life towards freedom. Everything you do, say, and think are about freedom. And that you deserve to experience freedom, and all beings deserve to experience freedom. All beings, including the beings you don't like, right? Especially those beings that I don't like, may they get free. And when you're ready, I invite you to shift your attention down to your seat and just beginning to notice the weight of your body and the seat rising to hold you, to meet you. This is the first kind of, I would say, introduction to the earth. Is the weight of our bodies and the seat under us, that groundedness, the stability, the foundation. And just imagining that as the seat rises to hold you, that the seat is actually caring for you right now. And when you're ready, beginning to touch even further down into the earth, letting our attention or even our awareness begin to touch into the consciousness of the earth. And I invite you to allow your awareness to really begin to permeate through or saturate into the consciousness of the earth. And slowly we become aware of the life, the living energy of the earth itself and all of the beings connected to the earth, to the land. Because when we touch the earth like this, we touch all of our relations, all beings. To begin to feel that belonging, that connectedness. That you and we are part of something that feels infinite and boundless. Can you let this experience of touching into the earth really take care of you? Can you allow yourself to be tended to by this really intimate opening into the earth and land? So a few more moments here. You know, in a way, we're just kind of losing ourselves within the earth, the land under us, becoming one with the land in a way. So as we continue, and we will continue by moving into our opening mantra, Om Mela Sangye Kino Soha Medicine Buddha, please think of me. And this is to start attuning us to the mind of Medicine Buddha now. That's going to be in your chat box. Om Mela Sangye Kino Soha. We're going to chant this 3 times. And we begin with the Om, and then chant 3 times, and then end with a long Om. Okay, we begin. Om La Sangye Ino Soa. Om La Sangye Kino Soa. Om La Sangye Kino Soa. Om. And now shifting your attention into the material of your mind. So beginning to notice thoughts and emotions. And slowly letting go of reacting or getting so interested in what we're noticing. So our thoughts and emotions becomes like clouds passing into the sky, or the drops of rain falling from the sky. Just watching these energies that we call thoughts and emotions just move and sashay and twerk through the mind as they do. Returning your attention to the seats and the sensation of the body being held by the seat as a kind of anchor if we feel ourselves getting too wrapped up, too involved in thinking. But in and around all this activity, these thoughts, these emotions, is space itself. And space is just an expression of emptiness. So beginning to just experience space, spaciousness. Where everything isn't so crowded and clumped together or overwhelming, that there is this incredible field, boundless, expansive field for all of our thoughts and emotions to play in. And we just watch. So we're allowing space to hold everything. And so what would it mean to allow space to hold everything instead of feeling as if we have to hold things? And within this space, this experience with spaciousness, I wonder if you can reflect on something that you're grateful for. and allowing the energy of gratitude to begin to awaken in your heart center. This energy of gratitude, as it awakens, it's like a flame that's beginning to be lit, that lights up in the heart center. And slowly this flame begins to grow stronger, radiating light, radiance throughout the whole body. And how does this growing and awakening gratitude begin to open up into experiences of joy? It's so like Tara, you begin to radiate and shine like a star in the sky of ignorance and delusion and fear. This gratitude awakening, this joy radiating intensely from our bodies begins to illuminate all the lack of clarity and transform it into clarity, into clearness. And I invite you to send this energy back into the past, back into the lives of those who've come before us, those who made it possible for us to be here. We send this healing, liberated energy of joy back to those beings, those ancestors who may have not used their lives to benefit beings. We send this joy, this healing anyway, because we deeply want them to be free from their suffering and the suffering that they caused in their lives. So as we do that, we will move into just the first round of our mantra. Teata bekenze, maha bekenze, rasa sumo, date soha. Chanting or listening to the mantra as we offer this energy back to our ancestors, freeing them from their suffering or thanking them for their work. It's just offering. Just letting yourself shine like a star, like the sun. Just shine bright with the intention of liberating all beings from suffering, especially now, all those who've come before us. O te agam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasu gatis o te agam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasu gatis o Beanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razasum gatisoha. Beanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razasum gatisoha. Beanda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasusum 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 gatisoha. Beanda begenze, ma begenze, rasusum gatisoha. 대하다 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라드스무가 대소아 대하다 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라드스무가 대하다 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라드스무가 대소아 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 대하다 백은세 대하다 대하다 백은세 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 대하다운 백은세 마백은세 수다스소가 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 다스스무가 대소가 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 다스스무가 대소가 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마다스스무가 대소가 대하다운 백은세 대하다운 백은세 마백은세 다스스무가 대소가 대하다운 백은세 마백은세 대하다운 백은세 마백은세 마스스무가 대소가 대하다운 백은세 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 백은세 마백은세 마스스무가 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 마스스무가 대소가 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 대하다운 백은세 백은세 마백은세 Now just turning our attention, or rather I turn my attention to our prayer requests. And as always, inviting all of our benefactors into the space, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yidams, Dharma protectors, into the space, all beings of light, all the guardians and protectors of our land that we're living and practicing on. Inviting all of our benevolent ancestors as well into the space. And we offer these prayers to all these benefactors, asking them to work on our behalf, to bring about the fruition of these prayers that are for ourselves and for those who are close to us. We're offering prayers, asking for understanding and self-compassion with symptoms from chronic illness. May this illness create spaciousness and awareness that benefits all beings. May all beings experience freedom and peace, even for just a moment, to know that it's possible. Offering prayers for Alex, who is preparing for their first oncology appointment this Wednesday. Offering prayers for Cassandra in support of her body fighting off a bug. Offering prayers for the Williamson family in support of our carrying on our ancestors' dreams. Offering prayers for me, Chachu, as I learn to be simultaneously boundaried and connected in my relationships, instead of my old pattern of alternating between aggression and submission in relationships. Offering prayers for Ramona and Jessica as they grieve the loss of their mothers. Offering prayers for the artists, healers, music makers, and storytellers that heal our spirits and make liberation attainable. Offering prayers for our move, that it may go smoothly and that we find housing that meets the needs of our family. Offering prayers for Coda, who entered the Bardo last week. Offering prayers for Bean as they continue to recover from a heart attack. Offering prayers that I may be able to continue my education unhindered by bureaucratic formalities. Offering prayers for the protection of the land in Humboldt neighborhood. Offering prayers for liberation for all beings, deep roots in our hearts today. Offering prayers for my continued growth on understanding and wisdom in my relationships. May this continue and flourish. Prayers for my friends seeking housing. May they find all that they need. Prayers for healing for my loved ones recovering from abuse. Prayers for all of my many beloveds that they may be held safe and free. Asking for prayers for Anne. May she be supported and guided toward peace in her remaining days. Offering prayers of gratitude for all of my homecoming circle. Offering prayers for Grace's son, may he have a complete recovery. Offering prayers of gratitude for my teachers and for the ability to have this practice of freedom. Offering prayers of protection and joy for all of our queer and trans family. Offering prayers for clarity and courage to take the next steps on my path. May I trust that I am always loved, supported, and guided. Offering prayers for health and joy for my sister. Offering prayers for this growing being in the belly and not yet earthside, that they may be protected from harmful generational energy and ushered with safety and peace into this earthly life. Offering prayers that my medical leave be exactly what I need to heal and move toward liberation. Offering prayers for all of those suffering from imprisonment and forced labor. Offering prayers for Ali, for Allie as she recovers from surgery, offering prayers for me for accepting the weather, which brings me fear and stress, offering prayers for Dan and Nancy and their recovery, offering prayers for Elle and their recovery from their night of sickness, mayhem, injury, and chaos. May they find calm and strength. May their head, leg, and shoulder heal. May their home and bed and body be cleaned quickly and gently. Prayers that I may sleep better this week and have time to rest and recover from prolonged stress. Prayers for those of us feeling consumed by our brokenheartedness and feeling trapped in our patterns. Offering prayers for Kate, who is recovering from delivering twins and in critical condition after surgery. Offering prayers that the confusion be transformed of those who choose gun rights, money, power, and gun ownership over the lives of children. Offering prayers for the end of the fires in so-called Canada and the protection of the animals and plants. Fresher air for all. Prayers for myself to be able to finish my degree well when it is draining the fuck out of me. Prayers for clarity of mind and discipline as well. Prayers for my parents' protection, good health, and well-being. Prayers for my lineages and ancestors. Prayers of gratitude for those who offered every act of kindness in this lifetime. Prayers for Lama Rod and all making Bhumi Spasha possible. Prayers for Bhumi Ma. Prayers for all beings in all the realms and all the times to be free. Still. Prayers to have enough clarity of mind to be model for my students. May I get through teaching this year so I can then attend to some pressing health needs, and prayers that we may attend to our planet. Offering prayers for Sela and her journey home, and her healing journey home. Prayers for all of us that we have the resources we need to be free and continue on this path of liberation. Prayers for myself to encourage me to keep turning towards and feeding my demons. Prayers for my mother, Sally, and her chronic knee pain. Prayers for Norm and his old heart. Prayers for Eduardo and Adrian during their 10-day Vipassana retreat. Prayers for the recovery of Renee and all the people and sentient beings dealing with illness. Prayers for all of us struggling with financial problems, that we all have well-being and harmony. Prayers for both my sibling-in-law, who is caregiving, and for her mom, who has dementia. Prayers for S as she prepares for an emotional medical procedure. Prayers for Cynthia. Prayers for Jim, full hearing after a bike accident. May I and all beings align ourselves with freedom. May I and all beings get free, experience freedom. Prayers for Silas and Abby to be happy and healthy as they navigate their old age together. Prayers that I'm able to open into space and allow grief, anger, and anything else that needs attention to be held in loving kindness and be transmuted. May I be free of all the suffering that has been dragging me down. May I journey within and emerge liberated, and may the merit of my practice be shared by all. May we all be free. Offering prayers for Shai Eisenberg, who entered the Bardo last Thursday, and his beloved wife, Bahira Sugarman, and for myself, Rachel, and all his friends who loved him dearly and will miss him greatly, and for my dear friend, Mahan Siller, recovering from knee surgery and now a heart attack, and his wife, Janice. Prayers for Brian and his mother that they have compassion for themselves and their father, husband, as they view memory care facilities for him and be able to hold space for liberation for all three of them and the rest of their family. Offering prayers for my nibblings as they navigate abusive and chaotic dynamics in their home lives. May they be safe and protected and able to access all the love and care that is available to them. Prayers for me and my partner and their young son as we begin our process of living together. Prayers for Carla and Francesca as they navigate a hostile, physically trying psychically trying relationship with their neighbors. May their benefactors and ancestors stay close and afford them protection. We continue to offer prayers for the liberation of all beings from all systems of violence and suffering, that even this land, this world, all beings are liberated from suffering, and that we all may experience the deepest well-being, happiness, and joy. That we all be free as soon as possible. As we move back into our mantra, just imagining as you're radiating with this energy of joy, just to allow yourself to radiate. Just radiate out into the world, into the space. And imagine that this joy, this radiance is really beginning to light places of darkness, or what you perceive as darkness. Dispelling those shadows, dispelling whatever feels like it's suffering. Let this energy of joy, let this radiance and energy of joy dispel that. And we begin again. O te ataum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga te soha. Te ataum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga te soha. Te ataum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga te soha. Te ataum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga gate soa. Beata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasasumum 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 gate soa. And slowly we begin to imagine that our bodies begin to dissolve into this radiance of white light. And this white light slowly dissolves into emptiness and space, releasing our awareness to mingle and saturate emptiness and space itself without bounds, without borders, just holding all phenomena arising within this boundlessness. And when you're ready, allow your body to re-arise. Shifting your attention back down to the seat, reconnecting to the weight of your body as the seat rises to hold you. When you're ready, just reawakening your body through some simple movements. Maybe a few deep breaths. And we will transition into Shanti Deva's prayer, which is in the chat box. Okay. Okay. Let's recite it 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, and the great elements such as earth, may also be the support may also support the life of all those boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Okay. Oh, Sharon, you want to share something? You want to come on screen to share it? Oh, can't hear you.
Try it again, Sharon.
Okay, I do want to share. I had an amazing magical experience tonight in practice, which is not so unusual, except this was a new experience for me. And so I wanted to share. When we were sending energy back up our ancestral line, not only was I getting the sensation that healing was occurring in my ancestral line, but that healing was changing things in my body at present. So when my ancestors were healed, that was a circular experience because then that trauma that I had been carrying around was relieved in my being. And not to leave well enough alone, I took that one step further and realized, I could pass healing energy back through my lifespan and heal my younger self and relieve some of the barriers that I have been dealing with. And I wanted to share that to make it available to all of us because I like to share the magic. Thank you for letting me have some time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's exactly what happens. You know, you heal your ancestors, you get healed, and vice versa. When you heal, your ancestors heal, right? This is why ancestor work is central in my, you know, in my teaching. Um, and when your ancestors become healed, when they start healing, then they become even more beneficial. They can help so much more. You know, it's they just become again. That's why the ancestors are the fourth homecoming, right? If we can rely on them, you know, so much more is possible. You know, it, yes, we know we have to do our own work to get free, but the work itself can be also be collaborative. You know, it's like you're working along with others to get free, right? And yeah, this kind of ancestral healing is just so like you don't really understand the weight of ancestral trauma until you actually release it and you're like, oh, okay, that was, you know, I am carrying so much despair, right? Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Um, and yeah, again, July 1st, I'm offering an in-person retreat here in Atlanta. Um, if you know of people in the area who want to come, please invite them to sign up. And you know, I think it's going to be really good time. And I think uh, that is about it on my end. So yeah, thank you everyone, and I will see you again next Monday. Yeah, next Monday. Okay. All right. Sweet everyone. Take care.